Hey, welcome, my friends, to this week's captivating episode of Motivational Moments with Maria. I'm your certified high performance coach, Maria, and excited that you join in every week because, as you know, it is always my intent to bring you stories of inspiration, of motivation, and productivity because always, I want you to experience more joy, more vibrancy, and more success in all areas of your life. So I've been on this journey of interviewing very powerful people in our coaching industry. And this week is no exception. I'm bringing to you today a discussion with the most beautiful woman that you're going to see. Well, you're probably looking at her right now, Miss Janeil Pierre. Miss Janeil Pierre. And Janeil, he is a neurotransformational life and money coach. Now, that's a mouthful.
Yes.
And I'm going to welcome Miss Janeil to the show. Welcome to the show, Janeil. So
Thank you
glad that
for
you're here.
having
And
me.
you look absolutely radiant.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. I absolutely adore you, and it's such an honor to just sit with you here today.
Oh, you are too kind. You are most kind. So, Janeil, you have a lot of interesting stories that I know you're going to share to us. So, but let's start. Who is Janeil? Tell us a little bit about you and your background and how you maneuvered into this new career.
Woo. So it's been a journey. It's been a journey. But Janelle is, oh my gosh, a dynamic woman. And when I say dynamic, I'm able to shift myself and just keep working and evolving as I need so that I can have the best experience on this earth as possible. So, some of the things I've done that's brought me to this place, I have served in the military for almost a decade.
Thank
And
you.
you're so welcome. It was one of the best, the hardest decision I had to make, but also one of the best decisions that I have ever made in my life. It has opened up so many doors and it's shown me my true strength and what I can accomplish as a person. So it's something that I will always hold dear to my heart. And coming out of the military, I decided to get into coaching because of the reason why I joined the military, which was financial struggle. So during, right on the heels of 9/11, things in New York had got really difficult. And so I was barely getting by, couldn't get another job, couldn't get a better paying job because there was, so much going on in the economy and so much going on. And on top of that, I also didn't have any education outside of my high school education. So there was no courses, there was no degrees like I have now, there was nothing. So getting another job was really hard and I was struggling pretty terribly. So I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to, and I've been playing around with the idea of joining the army since years before that, about 10 years before that. But of course, my family, my family was not crazy about the idea at all, and they weren't for it, and I didn't want to be disrespectful to my family. So when I finally made that decision and that transition, and I was 27 years old, and I'm like,
Wow.
okay, yeah, I was 27 when I joined the army. And I was like, okay, now I got time to make up for, because I'm almost 30. So I got to make up. And I just took off running and I had a really great career. About 6 years or so in, I got hurt and I pushed and I tried to push and I tried to push until, and I make it sound so simple. Oh, I got hurt. It was a very serious spinal injury. So, and I kept trying to work on that, and it just pushed the pain, pushed high blood pressure, pushed depression, pushed anxiety, and I just started spiraling, trying to hold on to my career. And so I decided I had done enough damage to my body, and it was time to transition to something else. And with a heavy heart, I got out of the military. I got out earlier than I wanted to. So I've been on this journey of healing and self discovery and helping others gain financial independence, understand money better, and just improve their own experience on this earth since I got out. And that led me to here.
Led you to discover coaching. Now, but in the meantime, you said when you were in the military, um, what kind of work did you do that led you to the financial aspect of it? Because obviously there's some relationship with money
Mhm.
because you were 27, couldn't find a job, and then you decided to join the military. And I just think that's an awesome decision that you made.
Yeah.
because look where you are today. But something triggered that emotional connection with
Mhm.
finances and money.
Oh, absolutely. So it actually started right before the military. Because when I did make the decision to go in and I signed my contract, my recruiter was like, well, it was my recruiter, the system said you couldn't leave for another 6 months, right? Because all of the trainings are full. We have, it's not going to be till September. That was in March of 2011. And it's not going to be until September before you can leave. Like there's no opening, there's no way we can train you. So within that 6 month period, I'm like, okay, now I know more money is going to be coming in. I have to make sure that when it comes in, I'm able to get myself where I need to be. I need to use that money to better my life. Because I'm talking about, I was going to bed hungry. I was sleeping on an air mattress on the floor. I was going through it. I was struggling bad, right? And so I started teaching myself about credit. I didn't have a, I didn't have any credit. When I joined the army, I probably had one credit card. So my credit was like maybe in the low 500s, right? And I was like, okay, let me start learning everything I could about credit. Let me start learning everything about finances. Like, and I just became this huge financial enthusiast, and I was reading and I was researching because I knew when this money started coming in, I needed to know what to do with it, to be responsible with it, and so that I will never be on an air mattress on nobody's floor in my life ever again. And when I got into the military, I was the my peers, we call them battle buddies, but my peers were much younger than me. And I knew what I just came from. They didn't know because I didn't talk about it. It took
Mhm.
years before I started talking about what how I lived before I joined the military. And I started taking an interest with my younger peers. They were 18, 19, 20, 21, and I'm 27. And so I started teaching them about credit. I started teaching them about the importance of not spending without a plan. I started taking them under my wings and being like, hey, in case y'all got to get out, because the military is something you can have a career today and none tomorrow. So if you have to get out, you need to make sure that your money is right so that you don't go to what I just came from. And
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
where my love and my passion for teaching others about money really truly started, from me just wanting to protect everyone from what I just came from.
Now that's a beautiful gift that you gave to them. And let me ask you this. Was there a time when you were explaining that to them, how they just looked at you and rolled their eyes and said, "Yeah, what do you know?" Or were you able to share your story with them?
So I never shared my story.
Ah,
I didn't because I was ashamed. When I
okay.
was going through my financial struggle, when I was going through that period, I legitimately promised myself that I will never tell anyone what I was going through. That was not something that I shared ever up until a few years ago. So no one knew anything about me in that respect. And I didn't party. I didn't hang out. I didn't go to the mall. I wasn't doing anything anybody else was doing. I got to my first duty station on March 6th, 2012. And I started college May, I think it was like May 15th, 2012. Like I went straight into college because I knew I wanted my degrees. I wanted all the things I didn't have access to before. And so the people that didn't understand me was like, oh, she thinks she's better than everybody. She don't want to hang out with us. She don't want to do this. She don't want. Y'all don't know. That's a tell you. I'm saying that just to say that they did not know anything about what I had just been through. They did not know I came from literally sleeping on the floor, hungry, having to go to sleep, being worried about my family, being worried about if something happens to my mom, I can't help her. They didn't know that because I didn't talk about it. There was too
Hmm.
much shame, too much guilt, too much judgment of myself. There was just too much going on wrapped up in that. So I just started to be teaching from a protective standpoint, like, hey, if something happens or if you get kicked out of the military, you got to make sure that you got your money, use your benefits, and I just started taking that kind of like big sister approach to them. And they were very
Beautiful.
receptive. They were very
That's
receptive because
good.
they didn't know. No one had ever taught them about money and credit and how to buy a car and, all of that type of stuff that I had already done. So they were receptive. And after a while, people just started coming to me because somebody else will tell them, hey, well, Pierre, go to Pierre, she can help you with this. And a lot of the times people will always wait until the situation was out of hand before they ask for help.
You know, and shame has a way of doing that. I mean, we're ashamed to admit our
Mm-hmm.
failures.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you didn't share your shame and your failure with them, they felt comfortable enough to come to you. You, as you just said, ask Pierre, she'll tell you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so from that, what did you learn about yourself?
Oh man, the biggest thing that I learned during that time was it felt freaking good when somebody hit a financial goal. Oh my God, it felt so good. Like that gave me a rush of adrenaline. And that's why I kept doing it. Because to see young adults who were never taught anything about money, anything about credit, they were going out and financing cars at 17, 18, 19, 20% interest. They don't know any better. And
Right.
they started seeing more money in their paychecks and being able to be like, oh my God, I hit a savings goal. I've never had this much money before. Oh my God, my credit has never been this high before. I don't think anybody in my family had a credit score this high before. That lit me on fire.
Good. And so it ignited you to
Mhm.
say, I know what my next path is.
At that point, not quite yet, because that was still in the earlier stages.
Okay.
Before, I got promoted and, ranked up and everything. That was still in the early, that started my first year in the military when I was ignited like that. And after I got injured, after I had my accident, my spinal injury and all of that stuff, I started for the first time contemplating getting out of the military. And
Hmm.
I'm like, but what am I going to do? I'm in pain. I don't have mobility issues, but I can't do the things that I used to do.
Hmm.
Right. So that means the type of job that I can do has changed. I can't be the person that's running all around, standing for hours, doing all of the, you know, hoa things that we used to do. I can't do that anymore. My body is physically incapable of doing those things. So what can I do? And I detest the idea of, and this is ego, of course, but I absolutely detest the idea of depending on other people or appearing weak, you
Hmm.
know. So I was
Oh,
like,
girl,
what?
I can relate.
Right? So I was like, what kind of job can I do where I would have the flexibility that if I had a bad day, because I was struggling with depression and anxiety at that time, pretty terrible.
Okay.
There was too many unknowns, too much pain and too many unknowns. And so I really started struggling with my mental health. And that was when I really started struggling with my mental health, that's when I said enough is enough. That was the moment when I went back and told my doctor, okay, I'm ready now. Go ahead and separate me. Right? When I started struggling mentally. And so now I'm like, okay, what can I do? Because if I'm having these struggles and I need to have a period of time where I just need to stay to myself, stay in a dark room, I can't do that with a regular job.
Right. Right.
Right? Nobody, I don't want people taking pity on me. I don't want people, and again, ego. I don't want to seem, if I'm working, period. And so that's when I decided, okay, this is what I've been good at for all this time. This is what lights me up. This is what makes me happy. Let me start digging into it. And then I got my fin- um, accredited financial counselor certification. And then I started, getting certifications here, getting certifications. And I started, at that point, I had wrapped up my master's degree. So I had obtained my associates, obtained my bachelor's, and I was on my last year of my master's degree at that point. And so I was like, well, let me start getting some coaching certifications. Let me start learning. Let me start building this business so that if I do have those bad days where I just really just in pain or just struggling, I don't have to ask for time off. I don't have to be a burden onto somebody else. I can just do my own thing.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you learned some. I mean, I just applaud you and extremely proud of you because
Thank you.
27, you joined the military, you're hungry, sleeping on a floor on an air mattress somewhere.
Mhm.
And you just, I mean, you just went for it,
Mhm.
Janeil, and that is just incredible. So now you have your master's degree, you have all these coaching certifications, and you decided this is my new path.
This is
And you're
it.
surrounded by a bunch of like-minded individuals that are going to constantly challenge you and push you to be better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, so what are some of the lessons that you learned
Mhm.
along your journey that you can share
Mhm.
with our audience?
The first and biggest thing is that as long as you have breath in your body, it's never too late. So many people are like, oh my gosh, it's so late. It's going to take 4 years to do this degree. In 4 years, you're still going to be 4 years older. So just start the degree. Just, you're going to be 4 years older anyway. So you might as well just start the business, start the degree, go back to school. It's never too late. I literally joined the military at 27. I started my business around 30, about 36, 37, somewhere around that age. And I started, well, you know this about me, but we didn't mention this before. I started learning how to fly airplanes at 39,
Hmm.
right? And so that's a dream I had since I was 17 years old. I didn't start touching it until I was about 39 years old. So
Right.
the biggest thing is that you can do anything and it is never too late to start. You owe that
Beautiful.
to yourself.
Absolutely. And I'm here to attest to that as well. Because that
Ex-
doesn't matter how old you are, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You can start a third, a fourth, a fifth career.
Hmm.
It's
And
all
it doesn't matter. No, your desires and the things that you want to achieve for yourself does not need outer validation. You don't need
correct.
anybody to approve of your decision. It's your desire, it's your dream, it's the call on your life. And that call was not a conference call.
It wasn't a conference
It
call.
wasn't a
It was a
conference
conference.
call.
It was me, myself, and I. I have conference calls with me, myself, and I, Janeil.
Exactly.
And when
Exactly.
I have those conference calls, like I did the other day, it's like, okay, me, myself, and I, let's go, baby.
Let's
Let's
go.
go. There's still so much left.
Because
There's
the thing
still so
about it
much
is, if
left.
you don't understand the importance of trusting your own voice, then you rely on people who don't even trust their voice to validate you. They're too afraid to go after their goals, and they end up projecting their insecurities onto you. And then you live your entire life without pursuing the thing that was speaking to you for your entire life. And then on the day that you go into that box, there goes all your gifts, all your potential, all your everything is buried with you. But a gift is not a gift until it's shared.
Correct. I'm so glad you said that because I had this call last week with some of my colleagues and we were talking about that and they were getting a little bit nervous and they're like, "Oh, how do you do this?" And I said, "Look, imagine the joy that you feel when you gift somebody, when you give something to someone. What do you
Mhm,
feel? You feel, it makes you feel good.
mhm,
Now, what are you doing by not sharing your gifts? You
mhm,
are robbing them of the opportunity to
mhm.
see, to feel, to be, to do more. And when you don't share your gifts,
Absolutely.
God gave you these gifts for a reason.
Yeah.
And it is
And
your
they're called a gift because they were meant to be shared. It's not a gift,
correct.
keep it to yourself,
Right. So you
right?
said, breathe, baby. You said, trust your own voice. And
Mhm.
you said there was a third thing that you wanted to
So,
share.
trust healing. Oh my gosh, that's so important. One of the biggest things I've learned in my journey so far is the importance of healing. We
Mm,
go through things as humans and we think that time is going to do it. Just let some more time pass, just let some more time pass. And I'm here to tell you that that's one of the biggest misconceptions, lies, myths, whatever you want to describe it as. Time doesn't heal a thing. Time pushes it down and it also conceals it. But it's
hmm.
in you. You went through it. You have to take the time to heal, regardless of what it is. Sometimes we don't want to say the word trauma. Like for some people, trauma is a trigger word, right? But
Correct.
when you go
Correct.
through things like that, we talked about what my life looked like before I joined the military. That was traumatic to me,
Absolutely.
right? That was trauma. That's something that needed to be addressed. And for a long time, I just shoved it under the rug and went about my business, right? When I talk about my spinal injury, and it wasn't just that, that was just the worst injury that I had that day, but there were other injuries. And again, yeah, I did therapy, I did physical therapy, I had my speech struggle with my speech for some time, so I had to do speech therapy and all of that. But that was a huge traumatic impact on my body and my mind having, experienced that accident that I had. And so that needed to be addressed. And then a
Hmm.
whole host of other things we didn't touch on that needed to be addressed. But when we don't address these things, they are going to show up at a later date. They are going to absolutely 100% affect you. And you're going to be wondering, why can't I hit my goals? Why am I not going to sleep? Why can't I stay asleep? Why? And you have all these why questions when at the root, you haven't yet dealt with one single thing that you have experienced that has impacted your life in a negative way. Healing is so important.
Healing is that is just beautiful. I mean, it's profound. I mean, it's true. You have to breathe, deep breath in your body, trust your
Hmm.
voice, and
Yeah.
heal. Allow yourself to heal.
Hmm.
Don't just go through the
Give
motions.
yourself permission to heal. It
Yes.
doesn't mean that you're
Yes.
weak.
Right. It doesn't
Healing,
mean you're weak.
right? How long has it been? You might know the answer to this question more than I do, but I think it's only been what, 50 or 60 years since women have been allowed into the workspace, into the workforce.
No, it's been a long time they've been allowed to the workforce.
Mm,
However, speaking from someone that was in the workforce
mm,
quite a while ago, you were expected to only hit the ceiling here,
mhm,
right?
right,
And but how about women's sports? We weren't allowed to play sports on competitive teams until
right, right.
1973. Was it Title IX, 1973? So even think
Something
about it.
like so in recent times, right? And the reason why I brought that up is because when we are in the workforce, when we're finally out here and we're given an opportunity, we have to work. We tell ourselves we have to work 3 times as hard, be 3 times as more educated, be we have to compete in order to prove that we belong here.
Amen to that.
And then when we do that, we're doing that to the detriment of our bodies, to the detriment
Mhm.
of our minds, to the detriment of our spirits, because we're fighting this invisible battle to prove that we belong.
Oh, it's so true. It is so true. Because I
That
was in the corporate world and I was 39 when I first had my first bout of breast cancer. And I said, why me? And I had a high stress job, raising a family, commuting, and all of that takes a toll.
it
And
does.
I did exactly what you didn't do initially. I didn't
Mhm,
not allow myself to heal. So
mhm.
I can just really relate with you on that. Did not
Mhm.
allow I just had to push through.
Push
Let me
through.
get
Oh my
through
God.
this and move
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yep. And then when we do hit those huge milestones, okay, what's next? Not even a minute to celebrate what we just accomplished.
You're
What's
so
next?
right. What's next?
And I
Exactly.
did
What's
that
next on my
all the
radar?
time. I did that over and over, and I was just hitting milestones, hitting milestones, hitting milestones. What's next? Never fully acknowledging, Jay, stop and celebrate yourself.
Hmm.
Stop and take care of yourself. Stop and acknowledge yourself. I never to this day have celebrated my master's degree, and that's a huge deal for me. But
Oh, it's huge.
I didn't even stop. I never stopped. I just kept
So I'm going
going.
to challenge you to do something to celebrate your masters. I am going to challenge you to
Mhm,
do something, no matter how small, but to acknowledge and celebrate getting your master's degree, making an impact because you're making an impact to
mhm,
so many people. And I love that. So I always and ask this question at the end.
mhm.
If the magic genie shows up on your shoulder and said, I'm going to grant you 3 wishes,
Mm.
what would those be?
So always stay present. That would be the first thing, to just keep me in a space of being present. Because I mentioned depression and anxiety before, and depression, I heard someone describe it as depression is being stuck in the past and worrying about the past, while anxiety is worrying about the future.
Mm,
And that hit home for me. We're worried about things that has already gone and we can't change anything about what's gone besides our perspective on the past.
hmm.
Yet we sit there and we beat ourselves up and I'm like, oh my God, what if I did? And I should have, and I should have, and I should have, because my accident could have been prevented. So I stayed in that space where I should have done this and I should have done that. And I spent so much time, and I was at the height of my career then. So now all of the should have and the shouldas and the couldas back here pulled me down. Whereas
Right.
over here, okay, well, if I have to give up my career, what will I do? You know, I loved what I did. There was
Hmm.
so much pride and so much goodness in being a soldier for me. My experience was positive. Everybody's experience might have been different, but mine was, and I had no intentions of getting out, right? So here I am worrying about what the future could possibly look like, and with no emphasis being placed on the present and what I needed in this present moment, which was rest and rejuvenation and healing and gratitude. So, my first wish would be to always stay in the present moment and be and show gratitude for the things that are. Because there are no coincidences and there are no mistakes,
That's true. That's true.
right? My second wish will be, let me see, what will be my second wish? I'm not materialistic at all. I'm a very simple girl. I like cars, luxury cars, and nice homes, right? So I will probably wish for a combination of nice cars and houses.
Nice cars and houses. Okay.
I'm not a purse girl or, I like cars and I like houses. And that's
You
it.
like cars and houses. Yeah,
That's
that's good.
it.
Okay. Yeah.
And
And you have a
vacation.
beautiful place and you drive a
Yeah.
nice car. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, a really, really nice. I used to literally, even when I had nothing to my name, I would be online looking up houses and just imagining what it will be like to live in some of these places. So I've always been that person that just love a really nice house with manicured lawns and swimming pools and the whole 9 yards. So I'll probably like wish for my dream home and maybe a couple of nice luxury vehicles. And then the third wish, what would be my third wish? Oh, this is hard.
I know. Isn't it hard? It is hard.
Um, Let me see. If I had one more wish, what would that wish be? I would wish to, and this might sound a little cheesy, but this is something we overlook a lot. Perfect health. Just perfect health. We are nothing without health. As much as I talk about money, baby, don't get it twisted. Health is wealth.
I know health is wealth.
Health is
Absolutely.
wealth. You can't do anything without good health. So I would wish, my third wish would be just to always be in good, perfect health. Treat my
Hmm.
body right, eat right, move as much as possible, because once I'm in that space, my eyesight is still amazing, all of that good stuff, then there's nothing that I can do,
Right. There's
right?
nothing that we cannot do.
With good health.
And I'm so glad you're not shooting yourself to death anymore because we've all done it.
Yeah.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's
Mhm.
gone.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're looking into the future and know that you're going to be, no matter what happens, you're going to be fully present. You're going to
Mhm.
be in the moment
Yeah.
and you're going to share your gifts with so many other people. Now,
Yeah.
if somebody wanted to reach out to you, what is the best way to contact you?
So right now there's two ways you can contact me because I'm doing some renovation and some things moving
Hmm.
around. But my website is up and running. It's janeilpierre.com. And I'm also active on Facebook while I'm doing some changes to my TikTok and Instagram.
Okay,
So
beautiful.
yeah.
So you JaneilPierre.com, correct? And that's
Mhm.
spell it for them.
Janeil, and my last name is Pierre, Pierre, at Yahoo. Sorry, not Yahoo. .com. I don't know where Yahoo jumped
That's
into the
okay.
conversation.
That's all right.
Yeah.com.
Yes. All right. Great. So we can reach you there. And is there any final message that you'd like to share before we close out for today?
I just really want people to know, like they know, like they know, like they know, that there is nothing that they cannot have. There's nothing that you cannot have. There's nothing that you cannot do. You might have been brought up in an environment where that helped you foster some limited beliefs and
Hmm.
might have tainted your image on what you can and cannot do. But I'm here to tell you that allow yourself to dream
Hmm.
with the knowing and the understanding that you can have everything that you've dreamed about.
Mhm.
And added to that, when you realize that you've taken yourself as far as you can go, reach out for help.
Mhm.
People like you and I exist for a reason. We've gone through the
Correct.
struggles and the battles that we have gone through for a reason. Reach out to us and allow us the opportunity to help you without judgment. We are not judging you.
No, no judgment. Judge less, feel better, right? As one of my mentors always says, judge less, feel better. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am that you agreed to come chat with us today, because I believe that it is people like you and me and all of our colleagues that are making an impact and just guiding people to be all that they can be and do what they need to do so they can have the things that they want.
Yeah.
So my gratitude goes out to you. Thank you so much. And to my friends out there and my listeners, listen, someone that needs to hear Janeil's message. So go ahead and hit the share button, or go share the YouTube channel, Maria Bradfield, with them so they can hear these messages, because we're doing this every week to bring you some inspiration, motivation, and guidance on living your absolute best life. So, my friends, you know what I'm going to end with. Stay focused, stay positive, always have fun, and no matter what you choose to be, do, or have, do it passionately. Thanks for listening in this week. Bye, Janeil.
Hi, thank you for having me.